I guess I actually want to watch this though. Unless there's drama, we can do drama review. Jesus Christ, man.
The UFC is in a dark place right now. Technically, it is more mainstream and successful than ever, but for longtime fans, something just feels off. Back in the day, fans watched because there was a real story to follow. Rivalries felt personal. Pay-per-views felt like watching a live movie. And fighters were either heroes or villains that we actually cared about. And the man behind creating those epic moments was Dana White. He used to share with the fans the same burning passion for the world of mixed martial arts and was desperate to prove that it was the most electrifying sport in the world, but not anymore.
Chat, I don't agree. I don't think UFC sucks and the UFC didn't fall off. Like I'm confused what this video is about. I don't get it.
Dana is entirely checked out of the empire he worked so hard to build, now focused entirely on building his new dystopian sport called Power Slap, where the main event is Dana White versus his wife. But make no mistake, the UFC is not dying. With a $1.5 billion ESPN deal, weekly Apex cards, and record revenue, the UFC finally figured out the formula for guaranteed success. But in doing so, they traded passion for profits. The events blend together, and that emotional connection we once had feels like it's fading for most viewers. We are officially in the UFC dark ages, and today we're going to discuss what went wrong and what the future looks like for the UFC. Combat sports are inherently entertaining. After all, humans have been fighting in front of crowds for thousands of years.
Chat, I'm confused, chat. People still watch it. I still think that it's pretty good. The main cards are insane. Like, I'm confused. I feel like this video is more like people that haven't watched UFC, guys, trust me, this is bad. Like,
borderline in our DNA. But many fans overlook one major facet that takes these battles to the next level: the story. The story makes you care about the fight. It gets you involved in the fight, and without the story, it can be just random violence. The UFC and Dana White used to understand this perfectly. When George St. Pierre fought Josh Koscheck, it wasn't just about who was more skilled. It was a national hero defending his country's pride against the brash, arrogant, loudmouth everyone wanted to see humbled. GSP was respectful, disciplined, and quiet. Koscheck was loud, disrespectful, and unapologetic about it.
This fight is about Josh Koscheck knocking out George St. Pierre and off 23,000 French Canadian.
When Anderson Silva fought Chael Sonnen, it felt like a comic book clash between greatness and delusion. Silva was the soft-spoken champion with an aura of mystery and near invincibility. Sonnen was the trash-talking underdog who ran his mouth so long and so loud that even people who didn't know MMA were tuning in, hoping to see him get knocked out or maybe pull off the impossible.
Well, first off, I offer absolutely zero apologies. And secondly, listen, guys, if you're not willing to go too far, you will never go far enough in life. And I don't care. I don't promote fights. I pick fights. I'm like John Jones. I sound like Sean Combs. And I got trombone-sized stones like John Holmes.
Oh, nah, I can't.
And then there was Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov, the biggest fight in UFC history, which was a full-blown culture war. Conor was the cocky and belligerent Irish superstar who was drunk off whiskey, blabbering into the microphone. He was offensive, flashy, and honestly hilarious, turning every press conference into a circus.
Chat, the reality is, chat, as the years go by, as we're more min-maxed in all the sports, it's hard to find people that are entertaining and good at what they do. It's not easy, dude. It's always been difficult, right? But in the past, in all fields, we always had both. But as we get better, science gets better, everything's min-maxed. The people that are like gifted at stuff are just not entertaining, is what it is. That's just the truth of it. Like, whether you want to cope about this, the reality is, the people that are at the very apex of every sport, every field, it's harder to find some that are entertaining. There's less in density. That's what it is. It's just, that's what this
On the other side, Khabib was calm, stoic, devoutly religious, and most importantly, undefeated. He didn't care about fame or attention. He wanted to silence Conor's chaos with discipline and dominance in the name of Allah. For each of these fights, fans picked a side like they were standing behind two generals headed straight at each other for...
Okay, here's a good example. Okay, just take for example esports. You know, here's a good example. Go ahead. Back in the days, esports, if you ask me the name of 20 pro players, I know all of them. I would watch. I didn't watch esports that much. I could name almost every pro in League of Legends scene. These days, you ask me for fucking 5 players, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Not a lot of people stand out from the crowd except for their gameplay. They don't craft their brand. They don't actually spend time being something else than a player, and that's fine because they're very good at the game. But unfortunately, that's just what it is. Like before, when people weren't that good, we had a lot of personalities. Yeah, because they're loud, and it's just what it is.
War. But today, there is no reason to rally behind a major fight. Most people don't even look forward to it anymore. Saturday just rolls around and you think, is there a fight tonight? And there is. Okay, I guess I'll watch it. And make no mistake, there are still incredible fighters that are well worth watching, but skill alone will not carry this sport long term. Fans want heroes to cheer for and villains to root against. They want to feel something when a fighter wins or loses, and without that emotional investment, fights lose their meaning. But these stories don't just magically appear. They are carefully crafted for years, and the man responsible for developing most of these iconic narratives is Dana White. For 25 years, Dana was the face of the UFC after he became the president of the company in 2001. Along with countless other behind-the-scenes tasks, Dana took on the crucial role of the promoter. But he wasn't only trying to sell fights for profits, he wanted the people to care the same way he cared. He was the guy in front of every camera, at every weigh-in, at every press conference, telling you...
Not a great take. Oh, dude, it's fine. I'm not gonna pause.
This level of passion and presence built the UFC into what it is today.
You want to hear how pathetic this is? I have no hobbies or interests outside of the UFC. This is all I do is work. It's so sick and so twisted. You know, Lorenzo and I live next to each other right now. So all we do is, you know, if we're not at work, we're talking about work on the phone, or we're at each other's house working, and now he's moving, and we're talking about me moving because he's moving so that we still live. That's how sick this is.
A massive company needs a central figure who is deeply passionate about their product. If you need a more obvious example of why the promoter matters, look at Vince McMahon.
This names a lot of problems, right? But not a lot of solutions. How about you go ahead? How about you give us an example? How about you say, what fighter is being underrepresented, underpicked? Who is like a silent, super fun, entertaining storyline / fighter that you can go out and find? There's just, bro, you act like there is, and you know some. Brother, there isn't that many, if not any at all.
Like, role for the WWE. The rivalries and betrayals build tension long before the bell rings. The promos are arguably more entertaining than the matches. You are not just watching 2 stuntmen fly around a ring, you are watching a story unfold. And all of the best WWE, the UFC does have to manufacture superstardom to some degree. Now, Dana White is not necessarily a part of the fighter's storyline, but he is a huge decision maker when it comes to who gets promoted.
I'm gonna say then, okay, then, you know what? It's kind of crazy that he chose WWE as an example, because if you think about it, WWE, yes, there's entertaining personalities like before, right? But the stunts aren't as crazy as they used to be. The skill, people, but back then people were skilled and entertaining. These days, yeah, they're entertaining, but did they do the crazy shit they used to do back then? Absolutely fucking not. Just stop it. Just stop it. You won't even believe what you're crazy to say there's no way you watch WWE and you would make that call. No shot. Just insane.
These fighters get pushed heavily on the UFC's very popular social media accounts. They get highlight reels at major events and get the chance to fight top-tier opponents. And for a very long time, they were excellent at this. The list of icons is long. Chuck Liddell, one of the first mainstream poster boys of the sport. Dana White was able to use his connections to get Chuck on Jimmy Kimmel, Conan, ESPN interviews, and Good Morning America. These appearances helped push UFC fighters beyond fight fans and into the general public's living rooms. Anderson Silva, Dana often referred to as the greatest fighter ever. Forrest Griffin was the winner of the Ultimate Fighter 1 and was on the cover of the UFC 2009 Undisputed video game. These opportunities don't just happen, Dana personally has to make it happen, and when he hyped up the fighters, it made fans more excited.
GSP is going to defend his title against Nick Diaz. Anderson Silva will defend his title this summer. And before the end of this year, we will see a super fight with either GSP and Anderson Silva or Anderson Silva and John Jones.
And even though Dana has an undeniable knack for recognizing and building superstars, some saw his power as a bad thing, because favoritism can bring someone to the top that may not deserve it. You see, the biggest difference between the WWE and the UFC is that the WWE can also control the outcome of the fight. The UFC can't.
So this guy understands building a storyline, but he doesn't understand picking the people that make the better storyline to make to the top. So then, was he supposed to get boring guys at the top and just make it all the way just like a boring show? I don't get it. I'm confused.
Dana could spend
that's
months,
part of
years building up a fighter
storyline
as a ruthless badass, only for them to get slumped in the first round.
I don't get it.
Or maybe Dana's personal favorite gets to skip through the ranks quickly and not have to fight through an entire division of killers to get a title shot. And many believe that the most recent example of this is Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley was carefully built up as a UFC superstar from the moment he emerged on Dana White's Contender Series in 2017. His one-punch knockouts, rainbow-colored hair, and Twitch streamer gamer persona made him immediately marketable to a younger audience. The UFC put him on high-profile cards, gave him favorable matchups, and heavily promoted him across social media. But as the hype grew, hardcore fans started to push back. They criticized that he hadn't fought many ranked contenders and accused the UFC of protecting him to preserve his star power. When he lost to Marlon Chito Vera in 2020, many fans took it as proof that O'Malley wasn't the elite fighter the promotion made him out to be. However, he had a convenient nerve injury that made it seem like he didn't have a true loss, which allowed him to keep his contender status. He continued to beat guys in the division with style, which made Dana smile from ear to ear. Part of O'Malley's appeal was that he smoked grass, lived the high life, and had hair that looked like a gender reveal party, far from the ultra-disciplined warriors we typically see. He shocked UFC fans when he TKO'd the champion Aljamain Sterling for the belt and then defended his title against Chito Vera. It was almost looking like Dana was right all along, but then there was a fight that Sean O'Malley could not avoid. Merab Dvalishvili, the positive, humble Georgian who had not lost a fight in 6 years. In their first bout, Sean looked absolutely stuck in the ring against Merab, and it cost him the title. But because Dana loves Sean and is a huge draw for the UFC, he got the immediate rematch. This time, the build-up for this fight was deplorable, with MMA media running with the narrative that Sean was so prepared for the rematch that he stopped gooning and smoking weed. Wow. Well, he got absolutely pummeled in the ring the second time, getting submitted by Merab, who is not a submission artist, in the third round.
One question about Sean, too. Obviously, 2 back-to-back losses to the same champion.
That's a good story, then.
Champion here puts him in kind of a weird place career-wise because, you know, it's almost like that Max Holloway thing, lose twice to Volkanovski in back-to-back succession. What do you kind of see for him going forward?
Well, I mean, O'Malley's got to go home, take some time off, spend some time with his family, do all this stuff, and then let us know what he's thinking. I have no idea where his head's at or where his head's going to be in a month. So this is one of those things, you let this kid go home and enjoy his life for a little while and clear his head and figure out what he wants, and then come back and tell us, and we'll figure it out.
I love how sad Dana always sounds when his money boys lose. Now, this is actually kind of a double-edged sword. On one hand, fans want Dana to be more involved with the marketing and promotion, but on another, they want him to remove his bias and favoritism. This is now known as Dana White privilege, thanks to Tony Ferguson.
I'm gonna be real. You got this attitude. You got Dana White privilege. Tony. Thanks, Dana.
Many UFC fans believe that Dana's favoritism has prevented others from getting their fair shot at superstars.
Okay, so what he's saying is that they want this to be like a pure meritocracy or whatever. That's never going to happen. Make the comparison to any other sport out there, any of them. It's not happening. It's not happening. Some guys have bigger brands. Some guys have bigger fan bases. Some guys are more entertaining. Some guys bring more revenue. And they're picked on these teams, and they're hired with bigger contracts. That's just the way it is. It's what it is.
Stardom,
it's not
like
that, not
Demetrius
that
Mighty Mouse Johnson, who defended the flyweight title
Are you telling me that a business is making biz moves? Dude.
11 times, but Dana never promoted him like the other champs. And despite being one of the most technical fighters in UFC history, he was traded away to one championship for Ben Askren. Now, at the time, the trade seemed highly disrespectful. Instead of figuring out a way to build DJ as a superstar, they got rid of him for someone easier to market. Ben Askren was an undefeated, trash-talking Olympian who had dominated outside the UFC and insisted that he was better than everyone on the roster. His cockiness made him a polarizing figure, which made fans want to either see him prove his greatness or get humbled. And they got what they wanted when he was on the losing end of the fastest knockout in UFC history. And while trading DJ seemed disrespectful, objectively it seemed to create the most entertaining outcome in the end. In my personal opinion, I think it's a net positive the more Dana White tries to push anyone as a superstar, even if we feel like they don't deserve it, because at the very least it gives us a villain to root against. So now you're starting to see this ever-present complicated stacking nuance here. I've seen MMA fans say a fighter's job is to fight and the promoter's job is to promote. Like, in theory, it shouldn't matter if a fighter is quiet, awkward, or unwilling to trash talk. If they win fights, they should get pushed. But in reality, promotion is built on storylines, personalities, and emotion. And when a fighter shows no charisma, gives bland interviews, and turns down media, it puts all the pressure on the UFC to craft a narrative from nothing. But there used to be ways to build excitement and...
Yeah, but is there a guys that like never lost, keep winning, and then they can't fight anymore because they don't get promoted or they don't get pushed? Like, are there guys that go and like that really want to fight, like they're ready to fight and they haven't lost, they're like fucking 20-0 or some shit, and they, like, I don't really, like, who? Huh?
Build storylines even if there wasn't much to work with. Like, take press conferences for example. It felt like just yesterday press conferences were a full-blown show themselves. Like, it wasn't just some pre-game boring Q&A, it was psychological warfare in front of a live audience. Fans and media packed into rooms waiting to see fighters come face to face, trash talk, and build excitement.
This guy TKOs people. When I knock people out, they don't move. They're not. Who the is that guy?
I mean, do you understand, Errol? You and everybody else waited in the weather. You came to the press conference. Vandalay, it looks like he found a bathroom as a backdrop in the men's shelter he's living at in Rio and got somebody to point a cell phone at his face.
I'm done talking to you. You can't be done talking to me. You're right here facing me, dummy. You gotta talk to me. You have no choice. You got nowhere to go.
You're playing touch butt with that dork in the park, the ponytail. I'm the one who ain't got no training partner? I don't think so. You seem to have it all figured out when you're fighting midget.
Now most of the time you get what looks like a corporate board meeting with two guys having a compliment contest for 10 minutes. The drama and unpredictability of these events are mostly gone. Then again, it's back to what we said before. Looking at it from...
Oh yeah, but how is that... How is that Dana's fault? I thought the whole video thing is that this was Dana's fault. How is it Dana's fault that these guys aren't fucking being dramatized, like pushing arguments on the stage?
Having a compliment contest for 10 minutes.
I don't get it.
The drama and unpredictability of these events are mostly gone. Then again, it's back to what we said before. Looking at it from a business perspective, does it make sense for the UFC to spend all this money and pack out a venue for a press conference just for two dudes to love each other on stage? The UFC is now a multi-billion-dollar business, so it's easy to understand why they prioritize finance, because most of the time, what is best for the story is not best for profit. And there are a few key ways that the UFC used to create great stories that they have seemingly abandoned. Firstly, hometown and enemy territory events. The concept mimicked what almost every other sport does: create a home team advantage. They would host the fight in a major city close to the hometown of one of the fighters, where 90% of the audience is cheering for their hometown hero to win, which meant that the away fighter became the enemy, walking out to deafening boos, death threats in the DMs, and sometimes an entire nation hoping they get knocked out. The stakes felt personal, and it created tension that even casual viewers could feel through the screen. Like at UFC 158, GSP versus Nick Diaz in Montreal, Quebec. GSP was Canada's national treasure who represented everything honorable about martial arts, and the UFC put this fight in his hometown of Montreal, where 20,000 fans packed the Bell Center to support. Nick Diaz, on the other hand, was the exact opposite: a trash-talking, weed-smoking brawler from Stockton, California. He disrespected GSP constantly in the...
Dude, chat, I'm telling you, okay, chat. Out of all nations out there, dude, if somebody is from here and is at the local arena or whatever, dude, the crowd is fucking roaring louder than any other crowd out there. It is what it is. It is what it is. Bro, it's a known fact. It's a known fact.
The lead up, pledging to embarrass him.
Montreal was fucking wild for their fucking local shit.
Booed Diaz as loud as they possibly could at him that night. When GSP dominated Diaz in front of a roaring hometown crowd, it felt like the entire nation of Canada was defending their champion's legacy. But the craziest moments are when an away fighter wins in enemy territory, silencing the boos from thousands of fans. Like at UFC 77, Rich Franklin vs. Anderson Silva 2. Rich Franklin was Cincinnati's golden boy, a former math teacher turned middleweight champion. He represented the Middle America everyman, humble and hardworking. His opponent, Anderson Silva, was the dominant Brazilian champion invading enemy soil to defend his belt. Thousands of fans came out to support Franklin in what they hoped would be his redemption arc after getting brutally knocked out by Silva the first time. But Silva didn't just beat him, he dismantled him, finishing Franklin with devastating knees to the head, silencing the sold-out Cincinnati crowd. The home versus away concept can even make non-championship fights more exciting, like on UFC Fight Night in Liverpool, where Darren Till faced off against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. Till walked out to roaring cheers from his die-hard hometown fans. Even though there was no belt on the line, the atmosphere made it feel as important as a championship fight. When Till won, the entire city of Liverpool won too. But in recent years, the UFC has mostly abandoned hometown or enemy territory events. Instead, we get neutral site cards in Las Vegas or sterile matchups at the UFC Apex. The Apex was originally introduced during the pandemic. It's a smaller venue that let the UFC hold events safely. It's also much faster and cheaper for them. Sure, it's more efficient for the UFC, but it drains the energy out of almost every fight. The only fight I can think of benefiting from being held in the Apex was Justin Gaethje versus Tony Ferguson, because the sounds of Gaethje beating the hell out of Tony added weight to his eventual downfall.
Look at that. Oh my goodness.
It doesn't matter how talented the fighters.
Chad, what's the Apex? I never seen that before. Chad, what's the Apex?
Look at that. Oh my goodness.
It doesn't matter how talented the fighters are, watching an event in the Apex is like watching hard sparring in a gym. The Apex cards are the pinnacle of minimum effort. No advertising for the event, base contract fighters except the main event and the feature prelim. Not even in-house media during the week of. Literally, the YouTube MMA community does so much more than the UFC to drive attention to these events.
Most
Saturdays I just Google if there's an event or not because they're so bad at promotion. Dana has become such a shifty promoter this last decade that we're lucky he isn't involved as heavily in big decisions now, and that lack of effort has even trickled over to main pay-per-view events. The UFC has clearly prioritized America, typically Las Vegas, so they can maximize their profit, but they miss out on some of that emotional electricity that made past events unforgettable.
Chad, but usually, Chad, the Vegas arena is pretty fucking loud. Like, people are always like happy for a good fight, no?
The crowd isn't filled with diehard fans screaming for their hero or booing the villain. It's basically filled with whoever can afford to travel all the way to Vegas and pay over $1,000 for a ticket, which often leads to a lot of celebrities in the crowd who are barely paying attention but just there to be seen. And without...
Yeah, but dude, come on, bro. Okay, chat. Hold on. Don't, hey, I'm not getting mad at this. Hold on. I gotta say, this point is it's nothing. There's the whole arena, okay? And then there's the around, like, the crescent behind the casters, whatever. That's, like, mostly celebrities, right? And it's like 30 seats. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Bro, you're talking about, one fucking 20,000th of the crowd. Who cares?
A lot of celebrities in the crowd who are barely paying attention but just there to be seen.
It promotes the event, literally. It draws more eyes to the thing. These guys post social media posts. They'll show the thing. It grows the brand, and it costs 30 seats. Okay, what about it?
And without that tribal energy from the crowds, even the best matchups can feel strangely hollow. Take UFC 319 for example. The main event is Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis for the title. On paper, it's an amazing...
Explain how 30 normal people at those seats promotes the sport or the brand more. Explain it. Because 30 louder guys is better for the brand? Dude, just stop.
fight, and it probably will be a great one, but emotionally, who cares? Du Plessis just became the first ever South African UFC champion. Imagine if his first title defense was in South Africa. Picture the atmosphere if Chimaev had to walk into Johannesburg or Cape Town and fight Du Plessis in front of thousands of passionate local fans. It would instantly become a historic moment. Instead, they're fighting in Chicago, a city neither fighter has any connection to because neither of them are American. The event won't have the same aura without the hometown advantage. It's just another title fight. But it's easy to see why hosting the fight in Chicago is a smarter financial decision. UFC 238 was hosted in Chicago in 2019, and they generated over $2 million from 16,000 fans. UFC 225 at the United Center pulled in $2.5 million from 18,000 fans. Compare that to the largest indoor arena in South Africa, Pretoria's Sunbed Arena, which only holds about 10,000 seats. Even at premium pricing, a packed venue might reach $1 million or less, simply due to size constraints. Chicago delivers nearly double.
Doesn't that kind of go back to the same argument as earlier with like the Apex or the small crowd, small arena?
Or more in-gate revenue thanks to higher capacity, ticket prices, and corporate demand. Another storytelling driver that the UFC has seemingly lost sight of is The Ultimate Fighter and Dana White's Contender Series. The Ultimate Fighter is a reality TV series where up-and-coming fighters live together and compete for a UFC contract. Each season has 2 established UFC stars as coaches, leading teams through training and weekly elimination bouts until one winner remains. TUF used to be a machine for building stars. Forrest Griffin, Rashad Evans, Michael Bisping, Tony Ferguson, Nate Diaz are just a few of the many that got their initial hype from the show. And even though this show might feel like cheap reality TV, the best part is that it's closer to actual reality. When these guys get in each other's faces and make threats, they are all more than capable of backing it up. So if a fight is about to break out, it's real. This ain't Love Island. It feels like The Ultimate Fighter is still running just because it used to be popular. The format needs a full revamp, or the tournament needs higher stakes, like a $1 million prize for the winner. Bigger rewards would attract better talent and raise the level of competition. It would also elevate the drama, which is what makes fans care about these fighters long before they ever step into the octagon. But as we've said time and time again, it requires...
This is an unfortunate reality that there's a big DR, there's a diminishing return on increasing payout or increasing the prize. And does that increase how many people are going to try to get in? How many people are going to try to be a UFC champion? At one point, you hit a cap where it doesn't matter how much you scale it up, you're not getting more people. It's just there's a hard cap. Sorry, this is how it works. It is just how there's a diminishing return, and it's massive.
There's marketing. People have to care about this show if you want them to care about upcoming.
Okay, chat. If I run a tournament for Marvel Rivals, that's 250K, right? Few people will show up, whatever. Right? People they want to be there. If I do $1 million, okay, maybe some people will start playing the game or whatever, right? If I do, okay, guys, fuck it, 10 million for one event, more Rivals. How many more people are we gonna get that will start playing the game and give it? And how many people are actually gonna get good enough in time to where it's gonna feel like the investment is worth it? None, 0. We're talking about maybe 150 people at most. Just stop. How many of those guys are gonna become the top talent, top pros? We would be lucky if one of them, of the new players, actually was talent to be a contender in that tournament. One player, maybe 2 players, that's about it. That's just how that works.
Fighters,
sorry.
Which brings up
it's
a
called
very
a diminishing
interesting
return.
point. When the UFC was growing, Dana was trying to prove to the world that the UFC was the most electrifying sport on the planet. So they had the incentive to put on the best event possible, to create the best show possible, to make the most engaging storylines possible. And of course, they were trying to make money, but the way to make money was to make the best product possible. And the work they put in for the past 25 years to produce that great product is what allows them to be lazy today. Their minimal promotion, unexciting talent scouting, and neutral locations are still producing massive profits for them. The UFC pulled in $1.45 billion in 2024, which is up from
xQcl.
This is an unfortunate reality that I agree. Yeah, all of his legal shit. The guy's a fuckhead. Conor McGregor is a fuckhead. Absolutely 100%, right? But he one man carried the whole brand for a long. That's just a fact. The guy's combo of actual certain good level of skill and entertaining personality plus jokes plus promotion, he was a gift to the sport. Generally, he was an actual gift that you can't replicate. That it's like looking for singers in your local area and finding fucking Justin Bieber and be like, oh, we'll do that again, guys. Just go back and find a new Justin Bieber. Well, dude, the reality is that it's just not gonna happen. What you're gonna have afterwards is just like you're gonna chase that high, but that's never gonna happen.
From 1.2 billion in 2023. In Q4 alone, live events generated $64 million. UFC 306 at the Sphere broke records with a $21 million gate, the highest in UFC history. And
this is like saying if the WNBA paid more, we'd have a better women NBA players. True. That is absolutely factual. It also doesn't help though that their salaries are fucking dirt cheap. But at the same time, it doesn't matter salary wise or not. Whatever players that branch out and brand their shit properly, they can make a lot of money. Like it's not hard to understand it. If you perform and you're a star, even if there's less eyeballs, you're gonna get brand deals that are gonna be worth a lot more than your fucking standard contract with whatever company that you play for. That's what it is. It doesn't matter. You can be a star and have a big brand in almost anything. But the reality is that they don't really reach those levels. And now we're seeing maybe 2 or 3 players that in WNBA that are reaching those levels, right? The Reese girls and Caitlin Clark. I think that's really cool. I think that makes storylines that are worth watching, so people actually pay attention. When was the last time you saw, except for this year and the year before, WNBA on your timeline or on your magazine? Nobody. I didn't even know that the WNBA was real. It sounds kind of offensive, but when I heard about the WNBA, I thought it was a joke. Because I had never heard of it my entire life. 26 years, I had never heard of the term WNBA until later on. I was like, oh wow. And now I have it on my timeline pretty often because of these 2 star players. That's what these things need. But it's hard to find that. And increasing money and payouts doesn't really foster that. These systems are already in place. There's already a system in place that grows this talent. High schools, elementary schools, all the coaching shit. People will have the tools if they want to become an NBA player, they absolutely can. Don't act like adding a bigger prize pool or a bigger payout will make everybody just start playing basketball. Like, and even then, it would take years for this to even pay out. Like, you're delusional.
Since Dana White is producing record profits for the company, it's unlikely things will change. These days, Dana and the UFC as a whole seem completely absent from valuable promotion. The best we get is him posting a selfie video on his Instagram with a fake excited voice while reading off a script.
What's up, everybody? It's Fight Week Live this Saturday night from the sold-out Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey. The main event, Marab versus Sugar Sean O'Malley for the bantamweight.
More people doesn't incentivize people. It absolutely does incentivize people. But I'm saying that there's a cap. There is a diminishing return, which increasing that payout more and more doesn't really do anything. So the argument is say, dude, dude, 1 mil fight? Dude, try 5 mil. Dude, give 10 mil to the winner. Give them 100 mil for the winner. Like, dude. Like, you're only gonna get so far. Like, at one point, it doesn't make any sense. At one point, it stops making sense, is what it is.
Title.
Another perfect example is the nothingness they gave fans at UFC 310.
So we get a press conference without Dana, which makes it less interesting. We get no real promotional pieces on the fighters that are interesting at all. Basically, we get embeddeds, which are low-level vlogs, which basically just shows, oh, Pantoja got a haircut? Oh, Gary's playing with his kid? Oh, yeah. Oh, they're getting picked up at the airport? Oh, they're going to show B-roll?
Okay. I'll take your argument. Fuck it. You know what? We can make this video happen in real life. Okay, fuck it. What if I send a text to Dana White today? I said, yo, dude, I'm wiring you. I'm going to wire you 1 million USD. Flat out. Take that. Next event, main card, prize pool. Winner gets $1 million from my pocket. Straight up. Do you think that will actually impact this in a way that is significant? Do you think that it'll change the card to where it's gonna go, holy fuck, guys? Like, is that gonna make the event that you can say yeah? And if it's no, you're gonna move on with your day. You will never go back. Whenever I talk about it, you're gonna say yap, skip, because you just say things. You just say things, and whenever they're proven wrong, you move on. You don't care because it's just what you do. I don't know why you guys do that
down the
shit.
street
It's
in
just
Las
weird.
Vegas are getting dropped off at the press conference. Oh my God. I don't even watch the embeddeds anymore. I don't care about the embeddeds at all.
But the main reason why
I'm not cranky. Okay, I'm not cranky. I'll show you why. Dota 2 TI has been like this by accident. It's not that they were doing it on purpose. They didn't know how big it would scale. Dota 2 TI had a massive price pool increasing it when people were putting money in and buying the fucking in-game bullshit compendium. Okay, the price pool rose to fucking like at one point it was like 20 mil first place, bro. I mean, yeah, we can compare TIs to this 100%. It's more money. There's more money to this game than a UFC. What? Like, hold on. I think it's a good comparison. Okay. 2013. Well, look at this shit. Look at it. 1 mil, cool. 2.8 mil, cool. 10 mil, 18 mil, 20 mil, 24 mil, 20 mil. Okay, cool. So you increase the price pool by more than 10 times. Do you think that they got at least 10 times the amount of people that signed up? The amount of do you think that 10 times the result of what they were trying to achieve materialized? Do you think that no, absolutely fucking not. Just not. Did the viewership 10x? Guys, did it 10x? Nah, not really. It maybe close perhaps. Bro, but at one point you say, okay, maybe it did 10x. Cool. Now we're at what we call the peak. Now let's say here we are peak, okay? We'll take that because UFC was small before and then became big, right? So then, hold on. You say, oh, it did 10x, cool. So we take this by, right? They're now an established brand at their peak. If you make the price pool 20 mil, 200 mil, do you think that the viewers are gonna 10x again? No. It's what we call a diminishing return. Certain things that you do, right, absolutely are beneficial to your goals, but at one point, it starts to make less and less sense. The closer you are to what you would call the true peak. The true peak is if everything is optimized and everything is maxed out, how much are we gonna get out of this, right? With that diminishing return, you're not getting much past that. And that's just a reality of life. It's a life thing. It's not scale neutral. Not everything in life is scale neutral. You need to understand this concept. Like Christ.
Dana is checked out of the UFC is because he is spending most of his marketing efforts on growing an entirely new sport called Power Slap. Power Slap is a sport based around two guys taking turns slapping each other until someone can't continue.
Oh man. Dude. The player base in peak in 2016, 2019 had half the amount of players with double the price pool. Okay, that's kind of a checkmate, Loki.
This is gonna suck. Welcome to the welterweights. Oh.
Yep, that's it. And Dana is all in on this, using the UFC's massive social media following to promote it, and even saying it will be bigger than the UFC one day.
And some of you were there and heard me in the early days. I said this will be the biggest sport in the world. This will be bigger than the UFC.
Now, Dana is not a stupid man, but his love for Power Slap can only be explained in two ways. He is either conflicting Power Slap's viral videos for genuine interest in the sport, because he constantly talks about how many views Power Slap gets on social media.
Okay, true. Yeah, chat. This actually might be an argument that the video makes. That's probably one of the most relevant argument he's going to make in any video. That's very smart. So props to Patrick for that. Like, well, I agree with this. Because reading the signs these days is a lot harder than it used to be because of social media. You get false signals. Okay, something being big on TikTok clips and YouTube shorts and all that. Cool, that's fantastic. I mean, we like that. Cool, right? But does it mean that people are actively more watching the sport live? Not a lot. Again, there's a big diminishing return from people that are gonna watch it on TikTok and we're gonna show up to these events and watch the event live. It's what it is. And when you reach a cap, and I gotta be honest with you, if you read the signs on how much more TikToks are getting, it's not increasing the interest in the sport that much more. Because people say, oh, wow, slap, that was funny. Next. Like,
It's the most successful thing that I have ever been a part of in my career in such a short amount of time. In 16 months, this thing's only 16 months old. We have more followers than like the NHL, PGA, NASCAR, and many, many others. And we're about to take over Major League Baseball too here pretty soon on all social platforms, and billions of views in just 16 months. The EBITDA on this thing is off the charts. The revenue is unbelievable. And we have more sponsors in 16 months than the UFC had in 8 years.
However, the reason why they get so many views is the same reason why any other street fight would, or why someone falling off of a bike would. It's a short dopamine boost that gets lost in the endless feeds of bite-sized content that will be forgotten faster than it took to watch the video.
This will be bigger than the UFC.
No chance. As an average person that turns on the TV and I watch Power Slap, I'll tell you what I do. I watch match 1, and it's the same. I watch match 2, it's the same. I watch match 3, it's the same. And I watch 4, it's the same. Somebody gets slapped in the face and they're done. That's it.
Tell me what's the same about each.
It's also harder to build a storyline too, though. Like some of these guys are really like small time guys. Like guys. He invited me to watch it live. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. But these guys, like, how do you build a storyline of guys? I used to grow up, guys, and I would get slapped by my teachers, and like then I got slapped more by the bullies, and then I said, fuck it, now I'm gonna start slapping them back. So I slapped some guys. I slapped this guy on the street. And I became what we call the slapper. I'm the slapper guy. Like, it's going to be way harder to build a storyline and to kind of build that into, like, a guy walking into a thing to give 2 slaps to another dude and then get off the stage. It's incredibly difficult, and I would argue nearly impossible. It's why it cannot be bigger than the UFC. That's my argument.
Match you watch.
Somebody raises their right hand. They then make direct contact with somebody's face. And then somebody either falls or they don't.
Nobody respects power slappers. They just want to see them get knocked out, which is why his excitement for the sport is probably just him seeing dollar signs. He knows power slap will not be bigger than the UFC. He just sees it as another event he can host around the world to sell overpriced tickets, food and drinks, and attract corporate sponsorships willing to put their logo on something that will go viral on TikTok. Power slap has taken up a significant amount of Dana's time since he is hosting press conferences and filming promotional segments for it. He's even using UFC resources to promote the league, but fans felt his lowest move was him resorting to hiring an OF model to give away a supercar as a promotional tool for Power Slap. Then again, from a business standpoint, I can see why Dana White is bullish on this league. To be a Power Slapper, you don't need to be an elite athlete. You don't need years and years of dedication, discipline.
They said earlier his power is less than the UFC, is whatever. It's getting diluted. It's getting all the attention. It's just the way it is, right? He wants to spend some time doing this slap as a side project. I don't see that as a problem. Do you think that this time he spent doing this, if he spent all of it on UFC, it would increase the UFC's broadcast quality to double, triple? Dude, probably just not. It's not like he's not the fucking only guy working there.
You just got to be strong and confident enough to throw a hard slap and take a hard slap. This opens up the door for an...
Did you guys know that the guy said yes to every singular point I made today? Every single one of them? But you guys live in La La Land. Like, this is like some... What is this fairy dust land? Like,
endless amount of tough guys and girls around the world who want to participate and have their moment at what feels like a legitimate sport. The barrier to entry to become a competitor or a fan is extremely low because it takes absolutely zero brain power to understand. In the future, nothing complicated will survive. We're moving toward a culture where depth is a liability, and the most successful forms of entertainment...
Chat, but this video, this clip is crazy. Dude, chat... Oh, I can't even say it. Look at the next.
Successful forms of entertainment will be the ones that demand the least from your brain. No rules
she
to
slaps
remember.
and
no
her
strategies
face
to
changes.
Analyze. Just loud sounds, fast edits, and instant gratification. Power Slap is a perfect symbol of the future, where nuance dies, and whatever can go viral in 10 seconds will always beat out anything that takes time to understand. It's not just a sport. It's a depressing reflection of where human attention is headed, and there's no turning back.
Yeah, that was odd. I don't agree with all the points. I think it's just
the UFC is in a dark.
I don't think it sucks now. I think it's just a lot of things in the world are just gonna go that way, and there's not much you can do about it. It's just it's called the cycle of life, we call it. So when is Mr. Beast's cycle of life happening? Well, I mean, his methods are still relevant. Like, I don't think that the metas for video making is getting. He made the blueprint and the meta for everybody else. Like, nobody has broken the blueprint, right? And if they do, and it's not his format, and he doesn't abide by the new rules, I mean, he will fall. That's what digital content is.